Hi, this is Bridget with Life on Spectrum, and today I'm going to talk about evaluations. Just so you know, the initial evaluation for your son or daughter to get services in special education unit takes the longest, but after that process is over, it actually can go quite quickly. With the evaluations, there's two ways to get an evaluation. Either a teacher or an administrator can actually suggest an evaluation for your son or daughter, or a parent can actually do a written letter to the administrator, school psychologist, or even the superintendent requesting testing for your son or daughter. Now this can be as early as, like I said, 18 months old, or you can even test them at 17 or 18, depending on the situation or the reason why you're doing this. But please remember, just because you're asking for an evaluation does not necessarily mean that they're going to already have an IEP or an IFEP, depending on their age. However, if you do think that there are severe problems or things that are just not clicking, I suggest asking for the evaluation. Now, the first initial evaluation, they always have to do an IEQ test and also an achievement test. That is standard across the board. They also might do a behavioral assessment. Sometimes it's called a BASC. But those are just typical things that they look for. However, if you think there's a speech problem, of course, they're going to ask for a speech therapist to do that, or an occupational therapy or physical therapy. One key thing to remember is when you're requesting for an evaluation, make sure you specifically state what you are asking for them to be tested on. If you think they need help with feeding, make sure you write down that you would like a feeding evaluation. Those are typical things that they need to look for. If you don't ask, the school district does not have to do it. So make sure you are writing everything down that you would like to do. I also would like to specify the ADOS. The ADOS is called the Autism Diagnostic Observational Schedule, and we are up to the level 2 now. There was the ADOS 1, and now we have the ADOS 2. This is key for every student that you think is on the spectrum to have. What's great about the ADOS is it picks apart not just educational, but also sensory issues, also behavioral issues, and also OT, PT, and speech are automatically done within this evaluation. So if you believe your son or daughter is on the spectrum, ask for the ADOS. If they say they can't do it, then you can tell them, then find someone that can, because it is their requirement to evaluate your son or daughter for what you would like. So hopefully this helps in the evaluation a little bit. I would also like to take a second and explain to you that just because they were diagnosed with autism through a psychiatrist or a family doctor, the school district does have to do their own testing. Please don't be offended by this, but they need to come up with their own goals and objectives for your son or daughter, and also their own needs in the educational system. So yes, it's one more additional test or things that your son or daughter has to go through, but it is a process they have to do. One other thing about an initial evaluation is as soon as you put it in writing, they have 60 days to comply. It's 60 calendar days. Keep that in mind. Now, my advice is don't wait till May. Please don't wait till May, because it's going to be very difficult to test your son or daughter throughout the summer. So if I were you, try to ask for it in August or September or October, and then they'll have to have that process done within 60 days. An evaluation is also, a reevaluation is done every 2 or 3 years after that, and that is mandated by the federal law. 2 years if your student or son or daughter is in a life skills classroom or an MDS or a multiple disability support classroom. But if they're in an autistic support classroom or a learning support classroom, then generally it's every 3 years. So keep that in mind, okay? And every time the evaluation comes up, you can ask for additional testing if you need it. One last thing about evaluations. Every 2 or 3 years, you're going to be asked if you want an evaluation done or a record check. I would always suggest to do some kind of evaluation. The reason is a record check is literally just to go through their grades, go through their goals, to see how their process is going. And sometimes that's just not enough. So keep that in mind when you're talking about evaluation or your evaluation year. And hopefully that's enough information about evaluations, and I'm Bridget with Life on Spectrum. Thanks for watching that episode, and make sure you come back and join us again for upcoming videos. They'll be uploaded almost on a daily basis. Also, if you really enjoyed us, like us below, or even leave a comment for us to respond back to. And if for all of you that are really involved in the Life on Spectrum, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate you. We hope that this is worthwhile for you, and we'll see you next time on Life on Spectrum.